Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a fireside chat with Bach. Today we have here Darryl Sang from Sang Architect, a registered architect firm, a certified passive housing designer based in Ellerslie, Auckland, New Zealand. So thank you, Darryl, for joining us today with our chat. Really nice to have you here.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's good to have you here. So Darryl, so why don't you tell us about yourself, your business? When did you charter the business, and how long have you been in the business for?
Goodness, it's been quite a while actually. Sang Architects has been around for 25, 30 years.
That's a long time.
It is a
That
long
that
time.
is old as me. That is old as me. I'm turning 30 this year, right? So Sang has been in the business is as long as my life.
Right. Yes. Yes. Well, it was established by my father. Dad's been an architect for 50 plus years.
Wow.
Recently retired a couple of years ago.
That twice is that's twice as my age.
Yes.
That's twice of my life. So your dad must have been really a really famous well-known architect in New Zealand.
Yes, he was. Yes, that's right. Well, he is. He's still around, but he's just retired a couple of years ago.
Must be enjoying your retirement.
Yes. Decided to take it easy.
And now you take your reign and rule your kingdom as Sang Architect.
Yes. Well, I've been involved in the business for the last 25 years.
Yes.
And now Dad's retired. Then yes, we're just carrying that business forward. We've always been involved in quality buildings,
Yes.
mid to high end residential and commercial.
Yes.
So
I think that's what New Zealand housing really needs: a high-end, well-built, quality houses for people, families to live in.
Yes.
Because I know that we have a lot of molding and watertight issues in New Zealand. Do you think so?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it could be so much better.
Yes, it could be. I agree. So you said so you joined your father's company a while ago. Did you ever think that you would work for your father one day when you were younger?
Well, I hadn't really thought about that in my earlier days, but having a father that's an architect or a well-known architect, I've been brought up amongst that architectural design aesthetic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it was kind of natural for me to go forward into architecture. Though before I actually did that, I decided to become an engineer because I was quite good at sciences. So I'm actually a qualified engineer.
Oh, were you?
Chemical materials engineer.
A man of many talents.
Yes. Well, I quite like the technical side, but in the end, I needed more of the design,
The creative
creative
process.
artistic.
Yep.
I needed more of that in my life, and
Yep.
so I decided I really wanted to be an architect after all.
That is great, and I think that you actually follow the core in your mind to follow the passion, the things that you need to fulfill your dreams. So I think that's great, and that's what everyone should do, to follow the passion, right? And make sure that it is your real passion, not a phase. So I think you made the right choice there, and I know that with your success right now, that is a correct choice to become an architect.
Yes.
Do you think that your father's architecture style had an impact on your style of architecture?
Oh, absolutely.
Design?
Absolutely. Yes. Well, just growing up with that type of design, that design aesthetic.
Yep.
Just absolutely influenced me
Yep.
on what I like and what I enjoy.
That's great. That's great,
Yes.
isn't it? I mean, what's better than having a well-known, famous mentor who's also your dad 24/7? So you
Yes.
got a mentor 24/7, which is great. So what was it like working with your family, with your father? What the relationship between your father, also your boss?
Yes.
How do you manage that? How do you draw the line there, professionally and also personally, in that sense?
I actually don't think you can. when you're Sang Architects has been a family business. It's still a family business. Work with my dad and his partner for 25 years until they retired, and my wife's been working in our business for the last several years. So we are a family business.
So it has always been a family sort of oriented business.
Yes. And architecture is one of those businesses which or one of those careers.
I would have thought that there would be, at the beginning, must have been some sort of difficulties working with your father, in the sense that you got your personal life and professional life. Do you have any tips to share with anyone out there who's also working in a family business and may have some issues with the relationship management? Any tips that you had in the past, or any issues you had in the past that you may be able to share with the audience here, or if you don't, then that's fine.
I think with our family, architecture, business, family life has always been one big continuum. So yes, I don't know. I don't know, because it's always been part of our whole life. So so as well as art, art and architecture has always been a big part of our life.
Right.
So my wife is an artist and a painter. And we appreciate art, and Dad was always a great patron of New Zealand art. So it was just all part of our life. So
it just flows in naturally.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
So
that there wasn't really a cut-off point. We don't walk out of my office door and say, okay, no more art and architecture, and I'm off to do something else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So not really a clear line there, right?
Yes.
So you just carries it with you all the time.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, that's a passion right there. So think about that, and think about your passion, like Darryl Sang right here. So let's say as you said before, your father's architecture design style is your inspiration, and has been and always been and still is. But say if you end up working for someone else, not your father, would you still be the same architect who you are today? Or what do you think you would end up to be? Who would end up to imagine a life that you didn't work for your father?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes. I think yes, I would be on a different path. I'd still be in architecture, but yes, I would have probably worked on different sorts of projects for different sorts of clients. Because yes, when I was overseas, I worked for a couple of different architecture and interior design firms, and so they did a lot of different sorts of projects.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think as you go through your life's journey, you are influenced by all those decisions you make and the experiences you have. So.
Yep.
Yes,
No,
that would be a slightly different person.
Yes. I would say so, because you spend so much time with your father, and he's your mentor as well. So you always have the inspiration from your mentor, not to mention 24/7 mentor.
Yes.
So yeah, no, that's good to hear. Good to hear. So your business, Sang Architect, how many employees do you have in your team right now?
Right, our team's a team of 7. And we're based in Ellerslie in Auckland. So yes, it's myself and my wife, and then I've got
five little kids to look after.
No, they're not kids. They're we've got a very professional team. We deliberately have chosen people that have good leadership qualities, good design qualities. And so we're a family business, and I think we treat our team like a family. Yes,
that's what I think we all want to feel in a team, in a business where you actually care about each other, and also care about the growth for each individual.
Yes.
Right. So not treating one as just a number, but also for growth, and also working towards being a team rather than just someone who come in, clock in, and clock out.
Yes.
And I think that's not your style, and being a team of 7 is a small team, and I think you would be able to focus more on the quality, and you can pay more attention to the work of each individual rather than a big team where you can't really manage.
Yes, I think the size of our projects, I guess they're significant houses usually, or small commercial buildings.
Yep.
I think that lends those sorts of projects are well suited to our team or the size of our team.
Yep.
And how we manage that. As we get involved more and more with larger projects, then we are going to increase the size of our team.
Right.
Overall, as well as the internal office teams that work on each project.
Yep. And do you have in mind of with the current market and current trend, do you think that you will expand your team anytime soon?
Yes, we're looking at expanding our team later this year.
Well, that's good news. News. I'm very glad that your team is growing organically.
Yes.
And that means that the business is doing really well. And the fact that knowing you, I know that you can pick someone at a really high level of design and thinking and being independent and well managed. So having a high standard in the team is very important. Having a team, I think is a key for a success of a company, because that actually drives the company growth. And I always believe in a well managed team, small, but it doesn't need to be big. It can be big, but it doesn't need to be big. As long as it's well managed and every team member has to be well driven and delivers high quality results, then I think it matters a lot for business.
Yes, absolutely. Your team is the lifeblood of the business.
Exactly right. Yep. Totally. So I would say just a bit more about your business here. So being architect, we can see that people just don't really know what sort of services architect can do. Do they just design houses or drawing, whatnot? So can you tell me more about what services you guys offer? So people who don't know of before they approach an architect, they don't know what you guys offer. So they they know what exactly to come for you.
Right.
So what services do you provide?
Yes. Well, an architect can provide quite a full range of services. Generally to do with buildings.
Oh yeah, of course.
Through from first looking at a site where a proposed building might go, or if someone's looking at purchasing a house or an empty site to build a new home, or a new commercial building, then we offer that service to come in and
so consulting and surveying, just to give an opinion and see what suits the site and to give them some sort of warnings or anything like that.
Yes, but also giving them an idea of what the possibilities are, or if they think they might want to alter the building to suit them better, then what's possible. So we offer that kind of initial service, kind of pre-design, and then we can take them through, from initial concepts to develop them into preliminary and develop design, and then through all the council
all the hopes and lopes.
Yes, that's right. All the council requirements, from resource consent to technical building consents. And then also help work alongside the builder to manage the construction process. One of the things that we do a lot of is passive house. So it's quite a high level of sustainability. So we bring that into all of our architecture at the moment. People come to us for passive house. So I think that's a very important part of our business. Can
you tell us more about the passive housing? I think it's quite a new term for people in New Zealand. I've never heard of passive housing until I met you. Never anything mentioned on the news or anything about newspaper. Absolutely nothing about passive housing. So can you tell us more about the passive housing idea and concept that you guys are delivering right now? So people here can understand what they stand for and why they should opt for it.
Right. Yes. Passive house is it's a European term, originated in Germany. So passive house actually refers to any sort of building, not just house, because the German word Haus, Haus, means any sort of building. So it can be a residential home or commercial building. And it's really specifying and designing the building envelope, that's kind of the walls and the roof and the floor, to work really well, to be really thermally efficient. to breathe.
Yep.
It needs to be airtight, so you don't get a lot of energy leaking out or leaking in.
Yep.
But it needs to allow the movement of water vapor.
Yep.
So you don't get any condensation or mold.
Yep.
Needs a good ventilation system.
Yep.
And if you do all that right, then your building will stay warm and comfortable.
Yep.
Between 20 and 25 degrees. Warm and comfortable, mold and condensation free with very little energy input.
And you're saying between 25 to
20 to 25 degrees all year round.
All year round, right? Doesn't matter it's winter or summer.
Yeah.
What doesn't matter whether it's actually 35 degrees outside or -5 outside.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Right. So basically, you don't, and you say that it's passively the energy generated is passively passively comes from all the appliances and the human heat and everything that happens inside the house. So you actually don't need aircon or heat pump or anything like that.
Yes, you'll need very little energy to keep the house warm and comfortable. Yes, ideally you need probably a little bit of sun. And sometimes in warmer climates like Auckland or Northland, you'll need some cooling. In summer because sometimes the temperature is above 25 degrees for weeks outside.
Totally. And the fact that my roof weight gets to 45 degrees.
Yes.
Right. So, and that's just a 29 degrees day. And because of the heat accumulates inside the house, inside the roof, so the roof always gets very hot.
Yes.
And that would also translate to the fact that your house gets very hot as well when your roof is very hot. So that's house design, the passive housing seems to be a really good design system for New Zealand housing.
Yes.
Given that we have for many years, for my house, for example, it gets very hot in summer, and the only way for me to reduce the heat is to open all the windows, or have an aircon, which would generate quite a lot of power bills.
Yes.
Right, so it'd be quite expensive. And if I open all the windows, then and of course the bugs come in, all these things, and you to be honest, if you live in a house, you don't want to go around the house to open all the windows. So with passive housing, you don't need to do that, right? Don't need to go around and open all the windows, and all you need to stay inside the house, and just it would passively produces the cooling and the heating upon your needs.
Yes. Yes. You can live inside a passive house without opening the windows, but when it's 20 to 25 degrees outside and it's not too cold or not too hot, then fine to open the windows, open the doors, go out to your deck, have your barbecue. But it does mean when the weather outside isn't ideal, or it's too hot or humid or cold or windy or wet, then you can just close up the house and then it will come back to a comfortable temperature very quickly. So passive actually means putting all your effort into that building envelope. So you don't need to add a lot of active equipment energy. So
a very efficient flow and very efficient energy consumption, which means would translate to low energy cost and of course lower power bills.
Yes. That's one advantage. Yes, you should use 90% less energy for heating.
90% less energy. 90% less energy.
Yes. But I think energy saving is one good thing, but actually the main benefit is a very healthy, comfortable, warm indoor environment. So no condensation, no mold, no toxins, no pollens. All that is really one of the main benefits.
Exactly.
Passive house.
Exactly right. So up to 90% decrease in your power bills, and you are healthy.
Yes.
What else can you ask for?
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's a dream home. That's a definition of a dream home.
Well, all homes should be built like that.
Exactly right.
Exactly. Why are we building homes that don't do that?
Exactly. So, that's the definition of a normal home. Okay. So we should all opt for passive housing design. So if you have any questions about it, come to Darryl Sang from Sang Architect. He will go through with you and we'll talk to you more about passive housing.
Yes, absolutely. We're very passionate about passive housing.
I can see that. They Sang Architect is actually a certified passive housing designer.
Yes,
right.
That's
so
right.
you can't just design a passive house out of nowhere. So you got to be certified, and you got to
absolutely helps to do that because you need quite a lot of knowledge behind you.
Yes, exactly.
And it's also quite analytical.
Yep.
Which actually appeals to me being an engineer. So there's a bit of software that we run to actually analyse how the house is going to work.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
we don't just guess.
You don't just put it on paper and say, oh yeah, it works, right? You don't just do it. You actually run a what's it called? A test. Simulation on.
That's right. We run an energy model just to see what's going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, and we can tweak it so we know how your house is going to perform within 10%.
True that.
Yeah, before you even
you build it.
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that is amazing, and that's what I love about it. Being an engineer as well as an architect.
So an architect and an engineer who build passive housing.
Yes.
Which is amazing. This is a really unique aspect that you do here in New Zealand, because I haven't seen the word passive housing anywhere else before I met you, and now knowing that what passive housing can do to people's lives and can save them so much money, it is amazing. And the fact that you have an engineering mind, which helps a lot as well in terms of the efficiency.
Yes.
So there you go. I think you got the whole package right here. What are you waiting for, right? So Darryl Sang here from Sang Architect. And do you think that we have enough passive houses in New Zealand?
No, not at the moment. No, all houses really should be aiming for the passive house standard. You know, we don't want houses that get too hot or too cold. Require too much energy.
Exactly.
And are cold and damp and mouldy on the inside. That's
and that's what a lot of houses in New Zealand are going through. Right.
Even newer houses aren't performing well.
Oh wow! Okay.
So we need to change that.
So a new build is not your answer. Okay, new build wouldn't. The chance of a new build would help. Would be free of mold and condensation is actually not high at all, right? Higher than it used to be.
Not if you're building to the minimum building code. The minimum building code is the worst possible house I'm legally allowed to build.
Right. So it doesn't mean that it will be free of mold or free of condensation. It's just enough to be legally built.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So a passive house would guarantee free of mold, free condensation, a healthy life.
Yes.
So that's what you should opt for, not a new build. A new build only would not be enough. Okay, so look for a spec that says passive housing. And it would be better if it's passive housing from a Sang Architect, because he's certified. So where do you think the architecture industry is heading to, and what should people be aware of right now?
Actually, I think with the latest changes to the building code, we're going to be getting more towards passive house. I know passive houses coming top of mind to some government departments now. Auckland Council is even mentioning passive house on the website.
Are they now?
So I think with more education, the whole building industry and building code will move towards much better performing buildings. So we don't end up with condensation and mould and unhealthy indoor environments.
Exactly. As a developed country, I don't think our people should live in houses that are mouldy and full of condensation. Right? So I think we should be living in healthy homes where families don't have to worry about kids having issues with their health.
Yes, that's right.
And older people would have to worry about their lungs and whatnot. So I think the council and the New Zealand building industry and architecture industry should be heading to that passive housing model.
Yes.
And I think you are a leading passive housing designer, so I think you would play a very important role in that movement right there.
Yes, we like to think so.
I think you will.
And passive house isn't actually that hard. You just need to do a bit more thinking, analysis in the beginning.
Yep.
And the construction materials are the same as we're using now. We just put them together a bit differently.
Yep.
Yes, it's not that hard and not that much more expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it's guaranteed your health and your
That's
comfort. Right.
Actually, health is such a big thing.
Yep.
We have way too much asthma in New Zealand.
I think we do, yes. So everyone, welcome back to the Fireside Chat with Bach. And we've got Darryl Sang from Sang Architect here. So we just come back from the break. And we continue with our short interview with Darryl.
Yes.
So we were talking about passive housing and how you can improve your life with passive housing with all the benefits that come with the design. So just say if someone who wants to build a new home for their family, they want to be able to make sure that they have the right concept and right direction. What advice would you give to someone who would like to build a new home in today's market, whether or not it is a passive house?
Well, actually, I think the most important thing is really the design of the building. Passive house is an analysis and a specification we apply to a good building, but the actual design of the building is the most important. As for any building, it's what we want to know is how that family or how that business wants to use that space. What do they want to do in the future?
Yes.
What's going to happen in 5 years or 10 years time? What happens when everyone comes around for Christmas?
Right.
They have a big function or a big party, and what happens in the middle of winter when they're just at home alone, or and we need to know those sorts of things because we need to know those sorts of things, as well as I want an office space for 20 people and a workshop, or I want 3 bedrooms and an ensuite. But the most important part is how you want to use that space, and how do people want to feel in those spaces,
and where you want to expand in the future, or what your purpose would be in 5, 10, 20 years, and things like that.
So that's the most important thing, because passive house is something we apply to a well-designed building, and if we get swayed by the technical details and those numbers, then the most efficient passive house is going to be a cube with very small windows. So and that sort of building design might not suit a lot of people, might not suit anyone.
So it's really about the personalized options for everyone, right? So no one is the same, and everyone's got the different ideas of a dream home, dream building, a commercial office. So they all have a different idea of what they want and what they want to achieve. So I guess the best option would be to come to your architect and come to Darryl Sang to ask him about what he would suggest you to do, and because it's very different and varies between a person to another. So no one's the same, and I think it is the best to come to the architect Darryl Sang to ask him what are the options and what you should proceed with your ideas and whatnot.
Yes, and it's about the client, the user, the family, the business, but it's also affected by the site and the location.
Yes,
where the sun comes from, where the view is, where the wind comes from, what's the access like,
and also the building codes for that area in particular. As well. So many aspects that a normal person wouldn't know. And you know all about that, so you will be able to advise a new building dreamer to what they should do, should prepare and should look at. So
it's a whole lot of factors. So and passive house is just one of those things.
Exactly. So many options out there. So say if someone who wanted to build a passive housing model, what should they do before approaching a professional like you? Say before they approach you to ask for your advice and things like that, and they already know about terms passive housing, what should they do before coming to you? Or is there anything at all?
I think the people that come to us are at all sorts of different stages. Some people are very passionate about passive house and they've done a lot of research, visit a lot of passive house buildings. Some people have only basic knowledge or no knowledge. But the thing that most people do have a detailed knowledge about is what they want that building to achieve for them. In their business or their families. So that's the most important thing.
Right. So just to have an idea of what you want first.
Yes.
Yes. Rather than just having no direction and nothing in mind and just come to you and ask for opinion with them because you don't know what they want. So
some people come with a very detailed list of what they want. A written brief, complete with pictures of images of the exteriors or of their kitchen or their ensuite or those sorts of things. Some people come with very detailed wants, a list of wants. Some people come with hardly anything at all. So and we can relate to all that. So if someone's got quite an open brief, they want us to guide them, then that's fantastic.
Okay, so there'll be more options for you as well.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
But if someone comes with something very detailed, then that's good too. So
so it doesn't matter who or doesn't matter what stage they're at.
No,
they can always come to you.
Yes.
And basically, they just come in and knock on the door and ask for Darryl.
Yes.
Right.
Some people come and say, we're thinking of building a new house. We don't have a site yet. We'd like to work with you, and we go off and help them go site shopping.
That's actually a good idea because I think maybe that's the best idea ever, because you want to come to an architect first, ask for their opinion and the specs, and tell them what they want, and they can tell you whether this site would fit your ideal building or not.
Yes.
Rather than you have of course you have the site and then you can still come to you, right? But then again, it would kind of limit your options a bit more. You have fewer options than if you have nothing, and then when they come to you and then you can say, hey, you can afford this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So I think I guess really doesn't matter which stage you are at.
No.
Just come to a professional and ask them before you ask them their opinions and their advice, and as a professional, they would know how to direct you to the right direction.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's always good to get an architect involved early with a major project. And whatever your stage, whatever stage you're at, then we're happy to have a chat.
Totally.
The earlier the better.
Totally, I agree with that, and I think it applies to my field as well as a management consultant, where I set up systems as well. So I would rather someone who would come to me at the early stage before they commit to anything, and then they realize that it's not right for them in the middle, and then come to me to reverse it. I think that would be quite a process to do at that stage. So I would rather have someone come to me early, ask for my advice, and then we proceed, then give them a lot of options to choose from, rather than commit to something and then came back and redo everything or fix it what they've done. So I think so the best you think would be the best thing to do would be come to an architect or Darryl Sang here as soon as possible, and ask for the advice. So is there anything you'd like to say to our audience here? And I guess for 2021, it's been 2020 was quite a year for us to remember.
Yes.
So I think for 2021, I'm hoping for a better start for everyone, for all the audience. So what is anything you would like to tell our audience here, who say just someone who cares about architecture and passive housing and whatnot? Is there anything you would like to tell?
Well, I think this year, as we come out of a difficult 2020, I think actually in 2021 we're finding a lot of people, because they've been spending quite a lot of time at home, are really focusing on their current living conditions and looking at how they want to live, and many of them are thinking, I think we can do better, or we need to make some changes, and so we are getting a lot of inquiry from people that are at that stage.
Right.
And so I think that's great.
Yep.
That's great.
Okay.
If everyone can improve how they're living, live healthier,
yes,
and with a lower energy footprint,
yes,
then that's great. And if we can help people do that, then we'd love to.
That's I think that's a good goal for this year, good target for this year. So let's make 2021 the year that people know about passive housing and make passive housing a more popular term that everyone can refer to.
Yes.
So there you go. So thank you for joining me today for the fireside chat. It's a fireside because it's very casual. It doesn't need to be formal, and I'd like to see is the show purpose is to be able to have opinions and knowledge and experience from professionals like Darryl that they can share, and the audience can relate to and find it useful for their life. So thank you for joining us. And if you need to know more about passive housing or effective housing builds, come to Darryl Sang from Sang Architect, based in Ellerslie, Auckland, New Zealand. He's got a really great team, 7, and he can cater to all your needs. Come to him, ask for advice anytime, knock on the door. Darryl Sang from Sang Architect. I will put in the details in the description, and you can always refer to them in the website, phone number, email address, and whatnot. So thank you, Darryl Sang, for joining me today.
Thanks,
and
Mark.
very good to have you and have a very good insight about passive housing and about your business, your life as an architect and engineer. So thank you very much for today talk, and hopefully one day you come back to have a second chat soon when the passive housing terms become more and more popular to our New Zealand Kiwis audience.
Yes. Thank you. And just one little thought. You said we're having a fireside chat, but if we were in a passive house, we wouldn't need a fire.
And that will be our goal, right? Having fireside chat without a fire. So thanks, Darryl.
Thanks, Bach.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I will see you guys very soon. Goodbye, and have a great day.